Pleasant greetings to you. Happy Feast of the Holy Family. Let us talk about Tahanan. You know, Mr. Gary Granada, a Filipino poet and songwriter, once suggested that the Filipino word tahan should be translated as peace. Tahan doesn't mean to stop, halt, or end. It is more like be comforted, be consoled, or be at peace. And I totally agree. Tahan na is often said by a parent to a crying child, right? It is not a plea for the crying to stop, but an assurance that someone cares and will respond. Are you hungry? I will feed you. Are you cold? I will clothe you. Are you afraid and lonely or alone? I will accompany you. I am here now, my child. Tahan na, anak. Tahan na. Be at peace. You know, in the scriptures, tahan is equivalent to shalom. In various translations of the Bible, for example, in King James Version, we hear in Mark 4 verse 39, "And Jesus arose, and he rebuked the wind, and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was great calm." In the Hebrew Names Version, we hear the Gospel of Mark say, "He awoke, and he rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, Shalom, be still. The wind ceased, and there was great calm." You know, in our translation of the Gospel of Mark, we can possibly say, "Pagbangon niya, inutusan niya ang hangin at sinabi sa dagat, Shalom, maging payapa. Nabawasan ang hangin at nagkaroon ng ganap na kapayapaan." It is beautiful, isn't it? But you see, tahan is also pananahan. It is a dwelling presence. In the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 14, in the Filipino version, ang Biblia of 1978, we read, "At nagkatawang tao ang Verbo, at tumahang sa gitna natin. At nakita namin ang kanyang kaluwalhatian gaya ng sa bugtong ng Ama, na puspos ng biyaya at katotohanan." So you see, tahan is marked by pananahan, the dwelling presence of God. Now, let us look at the root word of tahanan. The root word is tahan. The Filipino word for home, tahanan, comes from tahan, obviously. Originally, tahanan meant a place of peace more than just a dwelling. Our language reminds us of our innermost desire for our home to be a place of comfort, consolation, serenity, and peace. We dream that going home is like a journey to happiness, a foretaste of heaven. It is not surprising that tahanan is right there, at home, where one's family is. And you know, tahanan starts with marriage. The Filipino phrase is lumagay sa tahimik. The bride and the groom anticipate with eagerness, joy, and excitement a peaceful life, right? The sacrament of marriage is described beautifully in the document Familiaris Consortio number 30, and I quote John Paul II, "How can I ever express the happiness of a marriage joined by the Church, strengthened by an offering, sealed by a blessing, announced by angels, and ratified by the Father? How wonderful the bond between two believers, now one in hope, one in desire, one in discipline, one in the same service." You know, our Tagalog word for wedding, kasal, is derived from the Spanish casar. That is, to make a home, to make a tahanan, to make a haven of peace. Why? Because with marriage comes the family, especially when blessed with children. In a 2007 study measuring progress of Philippine society, gross national product, or gross national happiness, one finding is that family life is the most important source of happiness for many Filipinos. In Cartoon Network's New Generations 2012 survey, Filipino kids said quality time spent with parents is one of the top 2 things they are happiest about. Simply, tahanan is home, home is tahanan, a haven of peace. It is a challenge not just for individuals, but for the nation as well. You know, our laws acknowledge the crucial role of marriage and family. The Philippine Constitution recognizes marriage as the foundation of the family and shall be protected by the state. The same Constitution recognizes the Filipino family as the foundation of the nation. Accordingly, it shall strengthen its solidarity and actively promote its total development. In stating this, the Philippine Constitution succinctly describes from whom, through whom, and for whom the state exists: the family. The state knows, as individuals and families have long known, that amidst the turmoil and turbulence of this world, the differing opinions about what marriage is, the struggles, the daily grind, debates, and claims for truth, all we want is all we need: tahanan. But let us talk about the enemy of tahanan: greed. Greed destroys shalom. It destroys the tahanan. According to Pope Francis, an unrestrained desire for wealth and possessions serves as a malady propelling wars and conflicts worldwide. He emphasized that the craving for possessions forms an addiction, leading people into enslavement and giving rise to an unprecedented injustice in history, where a few possess so much and many possess little or nothing. And Pope Francis also warns, take care to guard against all greed, for though one may be rich, one's life does not consist of possessions. The incessant desire to be rich, he said, is an illness that destroys people, because those who have a lot are never content. They always want more and only for themselves. You know, the Tagalog word for greed is kasakiman. The root word is sakim. It possibly comes from the Arabic word sakim, which means deceased, weak, sick, or infirmed. Greed is a disease, and it starts in the home. Greed corrodes the fabric of the tahanan. Greed infiltrates not only individuals but entire families, entire institutions. Everything seems to revolve around the relentless pursuit of money. More troubling is the erosion of our moral values, giving rise to a culture of corruption, cheating, and falsehoods. We find ourselves at a nadir, and the root cause is clear: greed, pagiging sakim. Our leaders, driven by insatiable avarice, seem to have forgotten the very essence of Christmas and its message of love and service. So here are 2 tahanan challenges. My dear parents and children, number 1, please check for greedy attitudes amongst your children and your siblings. As long as greed is present in the heart of a family member, death in your relationship is by the doorstep of your tahanan. Why? Because greed makes a person blind and foolish so that he or she becomes an easy prey for death and destruction. Secondly, please check for mindsets that destroy the concept of marriage or kasal. Distort or destroy marriage, you destroy your tahanan. May God bless our tahanan. Amen.